Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Steve Churchian. I'm the Chief Product Officer and Chief Information Security Officer at XYPRO. And we've got an interesting webinar for you today. We're going to be talking about how you integrate your HPE NonStop servers and applications with SailPoint. Now, SailPoint is the market leader in identity governance and administration solutions. And with us, we've got Adam Creaney, who's a principal engineer at SailPoint. Adam's going to be joining our webinar today, and he'll be describing the benefits and features that SailPoint provides. If you're familiar with SailPoint, what we'll follow up Adam's presentation with is how do you integrate and take advantage of all those capabilities SailPoint provides on your HPE NonStop servers. If you're not familiar with SailPoint, you're going to learn what SailPoint does today, and then you can better take advantage when those capabilities need to be addressed on the NonStop, how you can integrate HPE NonStop and SailPoint. We'll run through our presentation. If you have any questions, please hold them till the end. Go ahead and put them in the Q&A chat box, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. A little about XYPRO. We've been in the mission critical computing space since about 1983. We are headquartered in Simi Valley, California. That's just outside of Los Angeles. And our focus is primarily on cybersecurity compliance, and we've recently added database management into our portfolio. Our sales and support offices are globally distributed all over the world. We've got a very strong partnership with HPE. In fact, a couple of our products come bundled as part of the operating system. So if you buy an HPE NonStop server, you'll get XYGATE Merged Audit that's used for collecting all of your security data and being able to integrate it with things like Splunk or ELK or QRadar or any other SIEM you might have in your environment, as well as XYGATE User Authentication, which allows you to integrate your NonStop servers and applications with multi-factor authentication through things like RSA Secure ID and Google Authenticator, as well as giving you the capability to integrate your NonStops with things like Active Directory, LDAP, and Radius servers. XYPRO also has a very strong partnership with SailPoint and CyberArk. And in fact, we've got the first and only certified integration for NonStop for both of those technologies. So if you need a SailPoint integration or if you need a CyberArk integration, we're the people to talk to. And we've had a couple of webinars recently regarding our newest product, XYGATE Security One. So we've got some patented security intelligence technology that we've been focusing on over the last little while there. So if you haven't seen our webinars on that topic, please visit our website at XYPRO.com, visit our YouTube channel at XYPRO Technology to learn how you can better leverage things like XYGATE Security One and our security intelligence. And XYPRO is ultimately your trusted security partner. That's who we've been known as for quite a while now, with our key focuses being on integration. So we'll be talking about our SailPoint integration today, but in the past, we've done a webinar on our CyberArk integration. So if you've got CyberArk in your environment and you've got a project needing to integrate your NonStop applications and your NonStop operating system with CyberArk, please check out our webinar, come talk to us. We'll be more than happy to help you there. We also focus on modernization, is simplifying the user experience. So making difficult tasks easy to help you accomplish real business objectives, as well as focusing on innovation, is bringing new technologies, new solutions, new benefits to NonStop and its users. As discussed, we've got some very strategic partnerships with CyberArk, SailPoint, ServiceNow, as well as HPE. We've got over 700 customers worldwide. We're a globally distributed support organization. So we've got folks and offices all over the world. Depending on where your time zone is, we'll have somebody that can work with you and help support your efforts in your time zone. As well as we're fluent in over 24 different languages. So if you're more comfortable speaking in your native language, we've probably got somebody on our team that can help work with you there. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this presentation over to Adam, and he's going to run through the benefits that SailPoint provides. Adam, over to you.
Great, thanks, Steve. All right, good morning, good afternoon again. As Steve mentioned, my name is Adam Creaney, and I'm here to provide an overview of the SailPoint Predictive Identity Platform. I'll be speaking briefly about the questions that drive identity governance, outline why organizations choose SailPoint to help them in their digital transformation, and describe the tools that make up the SailPoint platform. Identity is the strategic linchpin to a digital transformation because it allows organizations to manage the link between their entire user population and applications and data in the midst of their digital transformation. Identity governance is about answering three main questions: who has access to what, being the current state, who should have access to what, the desired state, and how is that access being used? These questions must be answered for all users, all applications, and all data. Over the last decade, SailPoint has built a large and loyal customer base. To date, we've helped almost 1,000 enterprises enable and secure their digital identities so that they can focus on being the best in their industry. The world's largest organizations with the most complex IT environments have chosen SailPoint as their identity partner. And based on their success with our platform, we maintain a 95% customer retention rate. Our market leadership in identity governance is just one of the many reasons why organizations have chosen SailPoint. We've been positioned as a leader with all the major analysts. No other competitor can match our data coverage, especially when it comes to cloud-based storage. Our comprehensive approach enables organizations to govern access across all applications and data stored in files, which no other solution can match. And our solution is about empowering business users to manage and govern the data they own, and not simply a technical solution for IT. SailPoint Predictive Identity enables enterprise organizations of all sizes to anticipate user access needs, spot risky user behaviors, achieve continuous compliance, and adapt and automate security policies. This is the next generation of identity driven by the power of artificial intelligence. It enables identity to be autonomous while you stay in complete control. It monitors the environment in real time and anticipates how access should change. SailPoint Predictive Identity learns and adapts to the business and IT environments as it evolves. It connects and controls access to everything and everyone in the organization. Fundamentally, it removes the complexity of identity and makes identity easy. It is always on, always transparent, and always protecting the organization. It shows you where attention is needed, it recommends actions, and takes the lead proactively, but it does not decide for you. You or the administrator is always in control. SailPoint Predictive Identity goes beyond traditional identity solutions and leverages AI and machine learning to automate and simplify provisioning, access requests, password management, certification, and compliance. When taking on the complexity of digital transformation, SailPoint's AI-powered services help you instantly create and update roles to quickly shape your identity program, learn and adapt to your organizational changes to keep your access policies up to date, provides real-time recommendations so you know whether access should be granted or not, and analyze peer groups and identifies risky users' access to quickly address security and compliance gaps. Governing access is no longer just about users, application, and data, but now must include cloud infrastructure as a service platforms, such as AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. We'll now take a look at the individual components that make up the SailPoint Predictive Identity platform. Lifecycle provisioning gives your users the access they need as they join, move to different roles, or leave an organization. Automatically modify access to applications and data as these changes happen. This provisioning includes the automated provisioning of accounts and access to new employees, making sure that they can be productive from day one. Role-based access policies can be easily defined in the SailPoint platform. These business roles can be created that match a user's job profile, allowing for the quick provisioning and remediation of the correct access when that job profile changes. Provisioning also includes the automated removal of access. This reduces risk by making the appropriate modifications to a user's account and access when their job function changes, or that they leave the organization. As the needs of the business change, as new business applications are acquired, the policies that drive lifecycle event provisioning can be easily updated to include access to these new applications. Next, self-service access requests empower your users to request and receive access to applications and data without the need for any complex manual processes. When a user makes a request for access in the SailPoint platform for themselves or requests access for another person, a few things can happen. The user will select the access required from a single user interface. Once that request has been submitted, depending on the policy, the user's manager, application owner for which the access applies, or even a potential security officer will receive an approval work item within the platform, allowing them to review everything that has been requested and approve or reject the request depending on what is appropriate. If the access request is approved, SailPoint will then directly provision the requested access to the downstream application. If all or some of the access request was rejected, that access will not be provisioned. Importantly, all the request submissions, approvals, and provisioning that result from an access request is securely audited for traceability. Most organizations will already have an informal and potentially time-consuming process in place that defines how and when someone should receive access. SailPoint can take that existing workflow and apply consistent automatic access requests in order to deliver policy-based security enforcement. Periodic scheduled access certification always makes sure your users have the right access by automating the process of reviewing and reporting user access. In an access certification, all access possessed by an identity is reviewed. This may be a SailPoint defined role the user is a member of, or it might be a group, an entitlement, or account on a connected application such as HPE NonStop. The person responsible for an access certification or attestation might be the user's direct manager, or it could be the owner of the application on which that access exists. This is configurable so that the person who can make the most appropriate decision is empowered to do so. If access is approved during a certification, that access remains on the identity. If, however, access is deemed inappropriate, the certifier can opt to revoke the access. When this occurs, SailPoint will immediately deprovision the access on the target system. Either way, if access is approved or selected for revocation, these decisions and the resulting actions are audited so that access reports and certification history can be quickly and accurately generated when required. In addition to lifecycle provisioning, access requests, and access certifications, the SailPoint platform also provides a few additional capabilities. Separation of duty can be used to detect and prevent toxic combinations of access and potential fraud by proactively scanning for violations. These policies can also highlight excessive access as a potential security threat. When a violation is discovered, alerts and recommended remediation actions are provided. Access Insights evolves your identity program into a strategic resource by capturing and analyzing all access activities and events. Access Modeling answers the question, who should get access to what, so you can build and maintain your role strategy correctly. Recommendations use artificial intelligence-driven recommendations to determine if a user's access should be approved or removed. Cloud Access Management allows you to discover and protect access to all your cloud platforms, including AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. If your organization relies on any of these, Cloud Access Management and Workload Privilege Management give you the visibility and control you need to protect these resources and workloads. File Access Manager enables organizations to securely manage access to their sensitive data and files in the cloud or on-prem. The primary building block of the SailPoint platform is connectivity, connecting to and providing governance services over all enterprise applications. In order to facilitate accurate and comprehensive governance, the first thing that we need to do is build an identity. This identity could represent an employee, a contractor, or a non-human user. We start by connecting to an authoritative source for our identities. This might be an HR feed, a contract management tool, or even a robotic process automation application for managing those non-human users. From there, we define our identity model. What attributes define our users? How do we map a user to a manager or a bot to a bot administrator? Once we answer those questions, we can further define our identity lifecycle. What indicates a user is active versus inactive? What attributes indicate a user is new or has changed job function or is departing from the organization? Finally, we go to what is arguably one of the most important aspects of constructing an identity, discovering all the accounts and access the identity possesses. We do this by connecting to all the applications within an organization, both on-prem and in the cloud. SailPoint aggregates this application account data and maps it back to an identity, discovering what access they have on those downstream systems. So, how do we discover and correlate an identity account information across the IT space? SailPoint does this through connectors and advanced integrations. SailPoint's connector and integration library allows us to connect to the vast majority of on-prem and cloud applications. We maintain a library of over 100 technology-specific connectors, as well as a host of standards-based connectors that allow us to discover account information on any system that has an available API, database, or data export functionality. SailPoint has an engineering organization committed to building and maintaining these connectors. Additionally, SailPoint partners with the leading security and IT vendors for an identity enablement enterprise. Our open identity platform enables connectivity to a variety of security and operational IT applications through our Identity Plus Alliance program. We often work with our technology partners to certify connectivity to target systems using our standards-based connectors. The integration between SailPoint, XYPRO, and HPE NonStop is a perfect example of this certified connectivity. And now I'll hand it over to Steve, who will go into detail about how XYPRO has facilitated connectivity with their integration to HPE NonStop.
Thank you, Adam. That was very informative. In fact, I learned quite a bit more than I knew going into the presentation. So thank you for that. So dovetailing on what Adam talked about when it comes to SailPoint is how does the NonStop and how do NonStop users take advantage of all the capabilities that Adam just described? What we did is, in conjunction with SailPoint and partnering up with them, we developed what's known as our XYGATE Identity Connector for SailPoint. This is that connector Adam described between HPE NonStop and SailPoint. Its main purpose is to really simplify and centralize NonStop user management. In most environments, user management is handled through SailPoint, so you would provision an identity and everything would connect from there. NonStop was always a disconnected and manual process. So being able to provision users, deprovision users, and aggregate users from the NonStop to SailPoint is a very manual effort. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And we'll talk about how we simplify it. But as well as simplifying the audit and compliance activity. Typically, this is all done through SailPoint. But without that connector there to be able to feed data back and forth, now we've got to deal with exporting logs and Excel files and hand manipulating data formats. We want to get rid of all of that because that costs time, that costs money, and it's error prone. So if we can simplify that process by dropping in a native connector at that and allowing the two systems to talk to each other, this is the perfect solution. And our XYGATE Identity Connector is the only SailPoint certified solution for NonStop. So it's fully supported from XYPRO, fully supported from SailPoint, and integrated with the two. So what's a typical use case look like? If you've got SailPoint in your environment, and this can be the case for any identity and access management system, a user is typically provisioned within, their identity is provisioned within that environment. So you would go in, you hire a new user, or they're transferring departments, you would go in SailPoint and create an identity for that user. SailPoint would then go out and automatically provision that identity and create user IDs in Active Directory, for example, or your Unix systems, your IBM mainframe. It could be within Salesforce or any other applications or systems you have. You would just select those boxes within SailPoint, and that identity would automatically be provisioned at those endpoints in those applications. The NonStop has never been able to participate in this, so it's always been a manual process. So everything gets automatically provisioned for all those other platforms and applications, and then somebody has to send an email to a NonStop administrator. NonStop administrator would then pick up that email, log into the NonStop via command line, and create that identity's user on NonStop within the applications or within the operating system to allow that user to have NonStop access. Again, time-consuming process, manual process, and error-prone. The reverse is also very true, and even probably more important than provisioning an identity is deprovisioning an identity. Let's say you're offboarding an employee or somebody changes jobs and you've got to remove their access. What would typically happen is you would go inside of SailPoint and uncheck what they need access to, either disable their identity, which would automatically disable all of the access that they have on whatever application or systems they would have had, or unselect particular systems to deny that identity access to those systems. Again, most systems, most applications, this is all automatic. What would happen on NonStop is, again, an email gets sent to an administrator, which then the administrator has to pick up, log into the NonStop server, and disable that user's identity. Now, that might happen, there might be a delay there. We've seen quite often where that email gets sent on a weekend or a long weekend or after hours, and the administrator doesn't get to that task until the day after or when they return back from the weekend. So that could be 48 hours, 72 hours have passed that a user has had access to the system longer than they should have had access to. Their identity is already disabled in SailPoint, or their entitlements have already been removed within SailPoint, but because that administrator has not taken manual action to disable or remove that user ID, that user has access for longer than they need access to the system. What's been typically the case that we've seen is they don't even get removed. So the identity is disabled within SailPoint, but because there's no connector to NonStop, either that task doesn't get done or is never done. So we've had auditors flag accounts that have been there for 60 days, 90 days beyond where that user needed access to. And now you're going to have to explain to your compliance department or your auditor of why you've got a user ID that's been there for 90 days beyond where they should have had access. With the XYGATE Identity Connector, all of this is automated. What would happen is a user is, again, their identity is created in SailPoint. SailPoint would automatically provision all the things that typically it can. Active Directory, Salesforce, IBM, you name it, SailPoint's got a connector for it. And now NonStop can participate in that process. So with the XYGATE Identity Connector, NonStop now becomes an option within SailPoint. And not just one NonStop server. If you've got multiple NonStop servers, you can select which one or all of them that a user needs access to. But the key here is it's all automated. Again, the reverse now becomes true as well. If you need to deprovision an identity, you would just go within SailPoint, uncheck that account or disable that account or uncheck NonStop, and that user ID is then removed from NonStop. Another typical use case is aggregation, meaning at some point you're going to have a disparity between the identities that exist within SailPoint and the user IDs that actually exist on the NonStop. It should, in most cases, be a one-to-one, but it's not always the case. So what a lot of our customers have ended up doing is you would export your user IDs from NonStop via an Excel file or some other flat file, and then download them to a local workstation. On the workstation, you would open up Excel and format the data and map the data in a way where SailPoint can then consume it. You can import it into SailPoint and then say this user ID belongs to this identity, and then this user ID belongs to this identity. So very, again, very manual process, very error prone. And if you have to do that once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, it becomes very time consuming as well. So what we want to do is eliminate that manual effort. Why do we have to generate a file, download it, format it, and then re-upload it into SailPoint and then go through and map each one of the user IDs? Why can't SailPoint just query NonStop, pull all of the user IDs, and do the mapping itself? And that's what our XYGATE Identity Connector will allow you to do. SailPoint can reach out to the NonStop and automatically pull all of the user IDs or a subset of user IDs you define, bring those back to SailPoint, and then map them to SailPoint identities. Now, there'll be some user intervention here for the first time because it's got to know the formats and how to map which user ID to which identity. But once that's done, SailPoint does what SailPoint does well. It'll go out, bring everything on its regular cadence, and make sure that if anything's updated on NonStop, all of those attributes get updated in SailPoint. And then SailPoint kicks in and does everything it's supposed to do. You can take advantage of the workflows, the certifications, all of the power that Adam talked about in his presentation now comes into play for not just for NonStop, but your applications that run on NonStop as well. Our XYGATE Identity Connector is deployed as a very lightweight microservice. In most cases, installation is done under 15 minutes. We've had quite a few of our customers say it's one of the easiest installations they've had to deal with recently. So as long as all the requirements are met, you've got everything in place, and you've got all of the access through your network, it's less than a 15-minute installation. It uses SCIM 2.0 for communicating back and forth with SailPoint. This is a very standard industry protocol for this type of technology. So we're using whatever's available to the industry for this type of stuff. Everything's encrypted, HTTPS, REST API, so all the communication back and forth is properly encrypted. It's got full auditing and logging support. That means any activity that's initiated from SailPoint is not just logged, but that can be integrated with XYGATE Merged Audit as well. So XYGATE XMA will pick up that data, and then you can send that data, you can integrate that data with your Splunk, with your ELK, with whatever analytics tool or SIM or alerting system you have. So all of you get 360-degree view of everything that this identity connector communication is doing back and forth with SailPoint. This can be deployed in like I mentioned earlier, in a single instance for a single NonStop server, multiple NonStop servers, or across all of your NonStop servers. Again, it's a certified integration, so it's fully supported from both of us, and it was developed and continues to be enhanced in conjunction with SailPoint. So any features we add, we're very well aware of, and then recertify those integrations. And ultimately, the benefit here is to simplify and centralize identity management. We don't want the NonStop to be a disconnected process. You've purchased SailPoint in your environment because you want to take advantage of all of the features that it has and be able to reap the benefits that it provides. NonStop shouldn't have a disconnected set of processes to manage. We should easily be able to plug NonStop into that ecosystem and allow SailPoint to manage NonStop. With this identity connector, now you can. All of those manual processes that we talked about go away. Everything can be handled through SailPoint, your provisioning, your deprovisioning, and your aggregation or reconciliation. You can now use SailPoint to enforce enterprise policy management. So the policies and the workflows and all the certifications that you have within SailPoint can now easily flow to NonStop, and NonStop can now participate in that workflow. It also makes audit and compliance much simpler, where you don't have to wait for an auditor to tell you that a user ID has been on your system for 90 days. Now SailPoint will detect that and can take action. It also allows, like I mentioned, allows you to take advantage of your enterprise investments for the NonStop to seamlessly participate with the SailPoint environment, with the CyberArk environment, with the ServiceNow environment. And because of its lightweight nature and quick installation, there's a very quick time to value, meaning you'll install within 15 minutes, you'll connect the two ends together, and you'll immediately be able to see the benefits from it. There's no heavy onboarding for this. There's no complex use cases that we need to set up or customizations we need to do. It's really, you install it, you configure it, you let it go, and it does its thing. So with that, I appreciate everybody's time today. I hope you found this webinar very, very useful. Like I said, Adam, we learned a lot from your presentation, and I hope everybody got a good understanding of what our XYGATE Identity Connector for SailPoint can do. So if you want to reach out and ask some questions, or you want to get further detail, please feel free to email us, to reach us on LinkedIn, through our website. We're always happy to discuss this and answer questions. With that said, I'm going to look in the chat box, and we'll have a small round of Q&A. Looking over the questions, we've got quite a few of them, so I'll take them one at a time here. First one, and Adam, I think I'm going to throw this over to you. What does having a SailPoint certified integration mean, and what does that certification process look like?
Yeah, it's a great question, Steve. So when we certify an integration, first of all, we only offer that certification process to our technology partners. So our technology partners in good standing like XYPRO can submit an integration to my team, and we'll look at it from a technical perspective and make sure that if we're doing a connectivity-based integration like the HPE NonStop by XYPRO, we're going to look to make sure that you're using the standards-based connector, the SCIM connector in this case, appropriately. We're going to make sure that all the use cases that have been outlined in your use case documentation are functioning and working correctly. So we're going to make sure that when it's certified, if we would like to deliver this to a SailPoint customer, that we have all the documentation and all the functionality outlined in that documentation correct.
Great. Thanks, Adam. Okay, second question, is it priced as a single unit, per identity, per server, et cetera? So this is actually priced as similar to what other nonstop solutions from XYPRO are priced as. So we price it per server, per CPU. So we're not charging on the amount of identities you manage or the amount of user IDs you create or provision and deprovision. It's typical, it's standard how we license any one of our other XYPRO solutions. So based on the size of your server, the amount of CPUs you've got on there, will determine what the pricing is. If you want exact pricing, reach out to us, let us know. We'll work with you and get you the best pricing available. From the SailPoint end, there's nothing to license, nothing to purchase there. I believe you have to download a small connector, which is available for free from the SailPoint side, but nothing else to purchase from SailPoint.
Yeah, actually, Steve, the good news is that connector, that SCIM2 connector, is bundled with the product, so there's no additional downloads. It'll be there day one.
Great, thanks. Third question, what type of additional configuration does this require from a SailPoint perspective?
Yeah, great, going on that connectivity again. So like I mentioned, this is an out-of-the-box connector from the SailPoint perspective. The SCIM2 connector comes with the product. It's set up exactly like you would set up any other connector. You know, you're gonna create a new application. You're going to put in your connectivity details to XYPRO's agent. Once that's done, the SCIM2 connector already has the schemas defined. You can do a detect schema if you like. Once that's done, it should be good to go. Set up your tasks for aggregation. If you want to include any of the information on the HPE NonStop application in your business processes, your workflows, or your role model, you can do that like you would any other application.
Excellent. Question from Prashant. I think this one's for me. Can you tell me a bit more of how application access is managed on NonStop? So right now we're provisioning and deprovisioning using the Safeguard user database. So if the application uses the Safeguard user database, it can take advantage of all of the SailPoint provisioning, deprovisioning, and aggregation. On our roadmap for 2021 is enhancement of that functionality to reach into additional user databases. So if you've got a base 24, for example, or a custom application, we can work with you to be able to reach into those user databases and be able to provision, deprovision, and aggregate those users into SailPoint. So that's something we're actively working on right now to deliver for 21. Okay, got that question, got that pricing, yep. How is support for the integration provided? So because like Adam described, this is a fully certified integration from SailPoint, and this is something XYPRO offers, you get the full XYPRO support that you've always been used to. So XYPRO will take on all of the support for this one. So you're purchasing from XYPRO, you're licensing from XYPRO, you get all of the support and everything that XYPRO provides directly through XYPRO. But from a SailPoint perspective, Adam, how do you guys see the support working for this?
Yeah, so obviously, if a SailPoint customer has an issue with one of the out-of-the-box connectors, they can always reach out to our support team, and we'll be happy to help figure out what's going on there. Because we have a technology partnership with XYPRO, you know, if we see that come in, that the SCIM2 connector is misbehaving with the XYPRO integration, we'll work with XYPRO directly to make sure that they are aware that there's an issue.
And we've experienced that a few times in the past with a few of our customers that have licensed this integration. Is they'll contact SailPoint, and we'll work together with SailPoint. XYPRO will work together with SailPoint to identify the problem, quickly come up with a resolution, and if we have to deliver a fix or some other way, we'll work in conjunction with SailPoint and vice versa to deliver the best solution in the quickest amount of time. Okay. Would this also allow access to XOS, ACLOS, and add rules for personal subvolumes? That is not something that we have right now, but Virginia, that is something we can absolutely explore. So what we'll do is after this call, I'll follow up with you and get a discussion going on what it is you're looking for and see if it's something we can deliver. Okay, doing one last. I don't see any other questions. So in that case, again, I appreciate, Adam and I appreciate everybody's time on today. I hope you found this worthwhile. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, reach out to SailPoint, and we'll be able to get you a solution that can help out with your integration project. So with that, appreciate everybody's time again, and thank you, everyone.